I will provide a let's play of SwiftUI Playgrounds. The reason is simple. When I studied back a few years ago, many colleagues of mine simply had struggles to learn programming because they didn't have the right background, so my studies were not related to programming at all, and math, which was included, was quite simple, so not a lot of thinking which correlated to thinking you would require to be good at programming, and often they refer to SwiftUI Playgrounds. This is simply a program which will show you the principles that apply to programming in a quite simple fashion, and because they struggled with it, I simply want to make a let's play where I play through the whole program and I will explain the concepts and give you some insights which might differ to different programming languages, because SwiftUI and, for example, the use of SwiftUI in Xcode is something which I picked up a few months ago. Wouldn't say that I'm bad at it, so as soon as you understand one or two programming languages, it will become easier to understand new ones. And because I started with other programming languages and SwiftUI is something which I just picked up a few months ago, I want to show you that this is still something you should and could learn quite quickly, because the native languages for programming applications, for example, which would be using SwiftUI to program applications for Apple devices and using Kotlin for the programming of Android applications, is quite useful, because these kind of languages are always liked and preferred by people that actually want to offer jobs to people, to acquire good personnel, which will help in developing ideas, projects, and so on. So I will explain along and will show you the solution and that the code works in the end of each lesson. So chapter 1, learn to code, commands. Have you ever followed a recipe to bake something delicious? Or followed instructions to assemble something cool? So you can see programming is a structured approach. You need to follow the instructions in the correct order or you will end up with something unexpected. Okay, so it's not only structured, but the right structure is needed to come to the right conclusion. Writing code allows you to create your own set of instructions for your device to carry out. Your goal is to figure out which instructions in which order will result in something great. So you need to understand which tools you use and how to use them. You will start by writing commands to move a character named byte around a puzzle word, performing tasks. For example, you will tell byte to move forward. Okay, so this is a command which will leave this figure to move one step forward. And we have another command which will let byte collect a gem. Notice the mashed together words. Code is punctuated in space like human languages, but commands have no spaces between words. So you don't have a space between here, but you simply, when you combine two words, you start a second word with a capital letter. Commands always end in parentheses, you will see why later. So goal, use Swift commands to tell byte to move and collect a gem. Your character byte loves to collect gems, but can't do it alone. In this first puzzle, you will need to write Swift commands to move byte across the puzzle word to collect the gem. First, look for the gem in the puzzle world. Second, enter the correct combination of the move forward and collect gem commands. Third, press run my code. So we simply have two commands which we can use, which is only move forward and collect gem. Then we count the steps which byte needs. 1, 2, 3. So 3 times move forwards and then collect the gem. So we put it in and run my code. You can see here that these lessons are already green, because I simply solved some puzzles to teach it quicker. Congratulations, you have written your first lines of Swift code. Byte performed the commands you wrote and did exactly what you asked, in exactly the order that you specified. Goal, combine move and turn commands to collect the gem. This puzzle is just like the last one. This time, byte needs to turn left to reach the gem. You can use the commands from the previous puzzle as well as a new command, turn left. Plan the commands you need to make byte move to the gem and collect it. Enter your commands in the code area. Run your code. So now we have not 2 commands but 3 commands, because a new command was introduced, which is turn left. So what do we do? Move forward, turn left, move forward, and collect gem, not to forget. Great job. You've written more complex code and you've learned that the order of the commands is important. Including a command for each step is important too. If you accidentally leave one out, Byte won't be able to finish the task. Goal: collect the gem, then toggle the switch. So far you have learned how to make Byte move around and collect a gem. In this puzzle you will use another new command, toggle switch, switches. So this explains how a switch works. A switch might be toggled open or closed. Closed switches are off and awaiting activation. Open switches are on and show a light inner core. First, enter the commands to move Byte to the gem, then collect it. Second, continue entering commands to move Byte to the switch, then toggle it. Third, run your code. First, we have to collect the gem, and then after it, we have to toggle the switch. So what do? We do move forward, turn left, move forward, collect the gem, move forward, turn left, move forward, toggle switch. You can actually, when you are kind of confused where to go, simply press this kind of world and then turn it. Fantastic. Use the right commands in the right order to make Byte complete the task. You've got this. Teleport through the portal to collect the gem. For your first challenge, there's a new element in Byte's world. A portal teleports Byte from one place to another, with Byte facing the same direction going in and out. You will need to use all the commands you've learned so far in the right order to toggle open the switch, move through the portal and collect the gem. Don't worry if you don't get it right the first time, this is your chance to experiment. You go forward, turn left, forward, toggle switch, move forward, then we end up here, so we have to move forward, turn left, move forward, collect the gem. Great job, you have solved your first challenge. Goal: find the bugs and fix them. When you write code, it's easy to make mistakes. A mistake that keeps your program from running correctly is called a bug, and finding and fixing bugs is called debugging. The code below contains one or more bugs. To debug it, rearrange the commands into the right order to solve the puzzle. Run the code to see where the mistake occurs. Identify the command that's in the wrong place, then press the command to select it. Drag the command to the correct location, then run the code again to test it. So unfortunately, I already solved it, so I don't know where the bug was. But this is a very common problem you will have in coding. Often you have, for example, a program and it doesn't work how you would like to, but you have to remember that usually the fault is on your side. When you program and something doesn't work how it should be, you will have to find the problem in the logic you programmed, because the code and the program is only doing what you programmed into it. This is something you have to learn, but we will simply go over how the code might look like, because I don't know what the false order of the commands was. Okay, move forward, turn left, move forward, collect the gem, move forward, toggle switch. Congratulations, you found a bug in the code. All the right commands were written down, but they were in the wrong order. You debug this code by rearranging the commands until you solve the puzzle. Challenge: reorder the commands to debug the code. In this challenge you will practice your bug finding skills by finding and rearranging the commands that are out of order in the code below. Notice that one of the switches on this map starts out open. If Byte toggles that switch closed, it's a bug in your code. You will need all switches toggled open to complete the challenge. It's a good idea to run your code every time you make a change to make sure you've located and fixed each bug. Don't worry if you end up trying many times. Making mistakes is actually one of the best ways to learn something new and remember it for a long time. What is important, which this text will show you, is that programming is more about a playful approach. So instead of always simply thinking about something like you would do in mathematics, programming is more about using an approach which might work and then giving yourself feedback of if it worked or if it didn't work. If I, for example, have a very complex part of code I programmed, I simply use print commands or something else which will give me feedback if the logic, which I think should make the process right, actually works, or if my logic is wrong and something else happens in the code. Because you will often be wrong about coding, and simply having print commands, which will ensure that your logic works to a certain point, will help you to identify in which part of your code is actually a problem and which part of your code actually works. So many feedback in your code that you programmed will actually allow you to simply identify in which part of the code is a problem and then fix it in the right part. So the problem was that this toggle switch is already on and both need to be on, and then we have to collect the gem. So it should be quite simple. We move forward, turn left, move forward, toggle switch, move forward. Then we end up here, move forward, collect gem. Incredible work, you found all the bugs in the code. Challenge. Evaluate options and pick the shortest route. For the last challenge in this lesson, you will make Byte move around in a bigger and more complicated world than you have seen up to now. This world has 2 portal jumps and there are many possible solutions. Figure out the shortest route for Byte to pick up the gem and toggle open the switch. You can use one or both of the portals and you will need to use the commands you've learned up to now. You might need your debugging skills too. Want to change your character? Press on Byte to choose a new look. We have to toggle on the switch and we have to collect the gem. So the fastest route is actually through the portal, because we could go this way and then this way and then up here, but it doesn't make sense. And going here doesn't make sense either. Yeah, because we need to collect the gem. So the only thing that really makes sense is simply this straight line. So yeah. This would be too long. This can't work. So this is another approach in programming. You can simply define what solution might be the most simple one or the best one, eliminating the options that might not work. There's a quite nice example why programming is superior to mathematics in some areas. The idea was simply you had a continent, which was Africa, so a big continent, and then you had many train lines, like from one place to the other place. And the problem was that you wanted to calculate for all these trains on these different spots on Africa, one, when they should arrive at a specific station and when they shouldn't arrive at a specific station, and so on. So basically you should calculate the timetables for all train lines in a whole continent. And then mathematics would be quite problematic, because with a good function you could come close to a good solution, but you had something like a big equation with many variables. And with programming you do the following. You simply program code which will simply run through this example many times over, calculate timetables, and the goal was that the time which people need to wait on each station will be minimized as much as possible. So the timetables for the trains should be as efficient as possible. And therefore, with, as I said, mathematics, it would be quite complicated to come to a good solution because the variables were so many. But with programming, you simply make a program and let it randomly pick all the times for the trains and the corresponding timetables, and then simply let the code run like 1,000,000 times and then compare the total amount of time which passengers have to wait on each train line. And then you can simply pick between the best options of the 1,000,000 different random combinations, which had the least amount of time which passengers had to spend on the train stations and which one you want to prefer. And this way, when you at some point just have written the code once, you can simply add adjustments and so on and simply let the code run. So programming is more about comparing approaches and then by experience knowing which is the best approach, and not like mathematics, understanding the variables and the equation and then coming to the best idea, but programming is more about finding out by trial. But here we can simply see what is the best thing. 3 times move forward, collect gem, then move forward, toggle switch. So we go this way. You have found the shortest route. Congratulations on finding one of the most effective solutions to this level. Now that you've completed commands, it's time to learn about functions. Okay, this is the second chapter and I will capture it in the next few days. Stay tuned.